And welcome everybody to another edition of the GSMC Football Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I am your host Kenneth Gruenfelder, and it's great to have you guys here on this Wednesday, February 7th. We have a lot to talk about on the show today, but before I get into that, I just want to remind you guys, as always, to tip or donate and get your comments recognized. Make sure to go to the following link, that is streamelements.com/gsmcsportsnetwork./tip. Again, that really helps the show, makes the show more interactive between myself, the host, and you guys, the viewers. Again, that is streamelements.com/gsmcsportsnetwork./tip. And as always, it is displayed on the ticker on the bottom of the show segment down below. So with that being said, let's get right into what we will discuss for today. So we're going to start off the show. We're going to talk about Brock Purdy making history when he takes his first snap on Sunday. He'll become the third youngest quarterback to start a Super Bowl, so we'll get into that in the list of quarterbacks that he joins with that. Then in the second part of the show, we'll talk about Andy Reid and his comments on the speculation of him retiring. We'll get into that as media day or media week continues, leading up to the Super Bowl. Then in the third part of the show, so I know we did a GOAT discussion when it came to the quarterback position, but now I want to talk about the tight end position. So we'll talk about Travis Kelce and Rob Gronkowski, and I'll give you my thoughts on that debate. And then in the final part of the show, taking a step away from the Super Bowl stuff, we'll talk about the Steelers quarterback situation because ownership had some comments regarding that. And that'll be it for the show. So let's get into the first topic, which is talking about Brock Purdy making history when he takes his first snap on Sunday. So he will become the third youngest, as you see on the title of the segment, he'll become the third youngest QB to start a Super Bowl. So he joins quarterbacks like Dan Marino, Ben Roethlisberger, David Woodley. This was an article that I looked up on CBS. Jared Goff, Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady. So they're just listing a bunch of quarterbacks, but he yeah, so it's good company to be joining, and it remains to be seen, how he's going to perform in the Super Bowl because they do have also the stats for the QBs that'll be playing in the game as that played in their Super Bowl. So Dan Marino was 23 years and 127 days. He went 29 of 50 for 318 yards, one touchdown, two interceptions. Ben Roethlisberger, he was 23 years old, almost 24. He went 9 of 21, 123 yards, two touchdowns, and a touchdown run. That came against the Seahawks. That was his first Super Bowl championship. And I'm trying to, because there's also a video that goes along with it. I wanted to go back to the beginning of the video because it had, where Brock Purdy was among the list of youngest quarterbacks, but now for some reason it's not showing it. But anyways, so yeah, Big Ben, Dan Marino. You also had David Woodley of the Dolphins. He was 24 years old. He went 4 of 14, 97 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. Jared Goff, in his only Super Bowl appearance, he was 24 years old, 112 days, 19 of 38, 229 yards, and an interception. Patrick Mahomes was 24 years old and 138 days. He went 26 of 42, 286 yards, two touchdowns, two interceptions, and that, of course, was the first Super Bowl against the 49ers. Tom Brady was 24 years old, 184 days, 16 of 27, 145 yards, and a touchdown. Of course, you had Jalen Hurts last year, 3 touchdown runs, 304 yards passing, and a touchdown pass. That was to A.J. Brown. So, yeah, all right, so now they're showing it. So, yeah, so Purdy kind of, is in between Big Ben and David Woodley. So, yeah, hence why he'll become the third youngest QB to start a Super Bowl. But, yeah, you get the idea. It shows Drew Bledsoe, Joe Burrow, Russell Wilson. But, yeah, you get the idea. I know. I was running through the whole list. But, yeah, and we'll see now when he takes his first snap how he's going to be. Again, watching some more media clips from yesterday. I don't think this moment is going to phase him. I think he has enough confidence where the lights aren't going to be too bright. Now, it does depend on, How is he going to perform? Because again, he's going up against a good defense. He's got a ton of playmakers around him, which helps. But for me, from how he was talking to the media, I don't really think this moment is going to phase him. I think he's going to. I think he's going to play well. Maybe it's just me being too confident. But I do worry, again, like I've been saying for the last 2 weeks, is how slow the 49ers have started these last two playoff games, because you can't afford that in this game. You just can't against the Kansas City Chiefs. But again, fortunately for him, he's got enough playmakers around him where the 49ers are going to make plays. And I think the Super Bowl will be entertaining. That's really what we're all hoping for. But again, you got people saying, "Oh, I'm not going to watch it." It's like, you're going to watch it. Stop saying you're not going to watch it. But yeah, I have confidence that Purdy will play well. Now, again, is it going to be enough to win? We'll see. But again, he's joining a good list of quarterbacks. That's for sure. And again, it's really incredible what he's been able to accomplish. In his second year, his first full year starting at quarterback. And again, I know there's going to be people that, and yeah, I agree. I don't understand why people just are hating on him. Well, I mean, I get it, but I don't get it. I mean, the guy seems very humble. He's fortunate that he's, in this position. I mean, you get picked last in the draft. I mean, if you're a late round quarterback, a lot of times, and you look at Tom Brady, of course, as an exception, you're not really expected to be the guy, and that's what he's become. And I've said it, I think he operates this offense, better than any of the quarterbacks that Kyle Shanahan has had since he's taken over as the coach of the 49ers. And you could look at the quarterbacks and say, yeah, they got some bad breaks. Like Garoppolo and Trey Lance, they dealt with injuries, and you could say Trey Lance never really got a fair shot. But Brock Purdy, when he got his opportunity, he really has, taken advantage of every moment. And the fact that, they made it to the NFC Championship game last year and now they're in the Super Bowl this year, I mean, you got to say that he's a big part of that. Because if it was Garoppolo, if it was Trey Lance, would they have gotten to this position? And a lot of people could easily say, well, yes, because of the roster that they have. But I don't know. I think for me, listen, Purdy is not an elite quarterback, but I think he's solid, and I think he's a little bit more than a game manager. But again, I get it with all the playmakers that you have on offense, your offensive line. Kyle Shanahan is your head coach. You got the pieces in place to be successful, but you still got to make the throws. You still got to be able to make plays. And improvise. And, when Purdy's had to take off and run with it, he's done that. He's done a good job at doing that. So, I think he's more than a game manager. But he's not – you can't say he's in the same class as, again, Patrick Mahomes is in a class of his own. And, I think he's – I think Purdy's just somewhere in the middle. But I wouldn't put him in the elite quarterback class. But I still think he's solid. And again, we'll see how he performs in this game. I don't think the moment's going to be too big for him. But again, you're going up against the defending champs. They've been there before so many times. So it's going to be tough. But when you have the best running back in the game, you got one of the best tight ends, and you got two very good wide receivers. Deebo Samuel obviously could be a running back as well. And Juwan Jennings also has made plays. It's hard for me to see the Niners offense not doing anything in this game. But it's just, again, how they've started off these last couple of weeks, that's, makes me pause a little bit. But, again, we'll see what happens. Because, again, the Chiefs' run defense is not the best. And you even hear when George Kittle was talking, that they're going to hand it off to Christian McCaffrey a bunch of times. That should be the game plan. You got to give it to McCaffrey. Keep Mahomes in that offense off the field. So, and we'll see because, I've said this numerous times during the playoffs for certain teams. Get the ball, go right down the field and score. Score a touchdown right away. Set the tone. Because obviously, you don't want to be down 7-0 to the Chiefs right away, and that happened to the Ravens. They had a quick 3-and-out, and then the Chiefs went right down the field and scored a touchdown. Now, then the Ravens did answer, and there really wasn't a lot of scoring after that. It was only 3 points scored in the second half of that game. For the Niners, you can't afford a slow start. You got to get the ball, go right down the field and score. But you could also look at last year's Super Bowl. The Eagles on their first drive, they went right down the field, they scored a touchdown, and then what happened? The Chiefs answered with a touchdown. So, I mean, I don't know. But a lot of people are betting, Chiefs money line, Chiefs spread, because it's like, why is Mahomes an underdog? So, and one of my coworkers was making me rethink, my pick for the Super Bowl, just because, well, one, because he's kind of been right on certain occasions, and I still went against him. So I'm like, well, if I go against you again, it hasn't favored me this year. So I may rethink my pick, but we'll see. We'll see. I mean, so there's still time. There's still a couple of days left, but we'll see. But I'll probably, I don't know. I don't know. Still got some time, and I mean, we're almost there, halfway through the week, and still got some other things we can cover, and then of course Friday's going to be, we'll make predictions and preview the game. But and also actually we got the NFL honors coming up as well, so I actually wanted to do a segment of that. I don't know if I'll do it either tomorrow or Friday. I'll have to think about it, because I guess maybe Friday, maybe tomorrow, just because then Friday I could just spend the whole show talking about the Super Bowl. But again, we'll think about. I'll be thinking about this, throughout the day today, and you'll know by tomorrow. But I mean, that's pretty much it when talking about this particular topic. Again, Brock Purdy's joining some good company when he takes that first snap in the Super Bowl. And again, I think I don't think this moment's going to be too big for him. I think he'll be ready for this. And you know what? He's got a lot of guys that played in the Super Bowl before, to help him out as well. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey will be playing in his first Super Bowl. Brandon Ayuk will be playing his first Super Bowl. But, the core of that team, they were there before. So, at least he's got that. They got that experience. So, again, we'll just have to see how the game goes. And, I'm hoping Purdy plays well. And, again, want the 49ers to win, but don't necessarily know if that is going to happen. But, so when we come back from our first break of the show, we are going to move on, talk about Andy Reid retirement speculation. We'll talk about, really we're going to talk about the comments that he made regarding that. And, as we continue through Super Bowl Media Week. And, so that'll be the second topic of the show when we come back from our first break. So with that being said, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.